that video yet?
Babe, I'm about to do the weekend wrap. Man's got to focus. Good evening, boys and girls. It's the Racing Blogger with the weekend racing wrap. We've got Aintree, we've got Tinglecreek. Well, it's called Sandown, but it's all about the Tinglecreek, and it's been labelled the Fab Four. King Altior, all hail the king, taking on Underso, who won the race 2 years ago, Sco Royale, and St Calvados, who's an absolute picture of a racehorse to look at in the flesh. If you go into Sandown tomorrow and you haven't seen St Calvados in the flesh, you want to see him. He's a real oil painting of a horse, and he's an absolute giant as well. It's going to be a quality race. I heard a few people on social media moaning about the fact we only have 4. But my question to you is this. Would you rather see quality horses taking on quality horses in a Grade 1, or would you rather see horses who are just making up numbers? I like to see Olympic athletes taking on Olympic athletes, the best versus the best. I don't want to see second-class horses getting in the way of Grade 1 animals. That's just my view. Don't shoot me. Don't kill me. I'm entitled to my opinion. Well, apparently on social media at times, you're not entitled to opinion, because apparently some people's opinions count more than other people's. Hashtag get a life. I won't mention any names, but it's been an eventful week. Let me just pit stop for a bit of coffee. Right, obviously Aintree, we've got the Beechers Chase, we've got the Many Clouds Chase. Shout out to Many Clouds, who dethroned Thistlecrack in an almighty race at Cheltenham. We lost an absolute hero of the game, a horse who wore his heart on his sleeve, a proper battler, a proper warrior. Remembrance for Many Clouds. We salute you, boy. You were a legend of the game. We've got Aintree, we've got Sandown, and then on Sunday we've got a good card over at Punchestown and a big announcement. I'm making my first trip to Huntingdon with Tom Williams. Huntingdon, hold on to your seats. The boys are rocking into town. My week started off at Plumpton. I made the journey down from Victoria. From Victoria to Plumpton, it's about a 58-minute journey. It's not the most comfortable of trains. There are no plugs to charge your phone. There's no coffee service. Not that I'd drink the coffee on that train, to be honest. It's pretty horrific. Blogsy does like a good coffee. But the station is adjacent to the railway, and you walk in and you're pretty much there within 4 minutes. Plumpton's a lovely venue, and I went down there to see a big boy called Kalashnikov, who some of you may know, who's probably joint favourite with Lahore for the Arkle. I think he's going to take all the beating. Skybet went over 10 lengths, 13-8. I made a few pound. Sorry for the aftertime. Not that sorry. I nicked a good few quid on that one. Kalashnikov was really impressive at Plumpton, and you can see a bit more about him right here, right now.
Shot on runners in his sights. Landing on very quickly with Jack Freeman.
Read the quote.
So that was Kalashnikov in all his glory. For me, he's all speed, this horse. He jumps really well. He travels like an absolute dream. A message for Amy Murphy. Go for the Arkle, not the JLT. He was second in the Supreme last year. He doesn't need a longer trip. He travels and tanks. Kalashnikov is going to win the Arkle this year round. I was really impressed with that. I know he didn't beat much. I know he was 6-1 on, but it's the way a horse does it. This horse carries himself, and he knows he's very good indeed. Right, let's crack on over to Aintree. This horse in the first, the 11.55, it's a 2-mile, 1 novice hurdle. The reason I want to mention him is very simple. I was at Sandown when he absolutely hacked up for Colin Tizard. I interviewed Joe Tizard that day. Eldorado Allen. I spoke to Joe after the race, said, Blogsy, this horse cost a lot of money. We bought him to be good. And he destroyed Severano on the bridle. Oliver Sherwood's horse. Major form boost. He went to Newbury next time out. Just got pipped on the post by Bright Forecast. I think this Eldorado Allen is one that you need to keep a close eye on. He's 8-11 on tomorrow. I think he'll personally start a bit shorter in the betting. I will be putting him in a few doubles and trebles, but I think he's a really high-class horse, and I think he's one you're going to hear a lot about in the next few years for the Colin Tizard camp. 1:30 at Aintree is the 3-mile 2 Beechers Chase, a prep race, in essence, for the Martel Grand National. Sorry, the Randox Grand National. Don't sue me. I'm just a messenger. Black Lion won the race last year off a marker 153 for Nigel Twiston Davis, who had a beautiful winner at Sandown today and obviously won the big Betfair Chase with Bristol the Mai. Horses are running well. He's got a £5 higher mark this year. We do know Black Lion loves Aintree. He loves soft ground. He hasn't run for 224 days. That wouldn't put me off. You can get racehorses fit these days really easily. The scientific methods of training horses have improved a lot. Black Lion will surely run a good race. He's your 4-1 favourite. The current betting here is Ballyoptics an 8-1 shot, Cross You Boys at 9s, Present Man's 8s, Don Poli, old Don Poli, Don Slowly. They don't say that about Don Poli blogs. He's a 12-1 shot. But the horse I like here is a 14-1 shot who you can get 7 places each way with William Hill at a fifth of the odds. It's the old boy. It's the OAP, it's Highland Lodge. Highland Lodge, he won this race in 2015. He was second in 2016 and third behind Black Lion in 2017. You could argue that he's on a bit of a downward curve. He is getting a bit older, but he's been given a chance by the handicapper off a marker 135. And with 7 places each way for a horse who's guaranteed to stay. Funnily enough, the Cheveley Park stud have bought this horse, which I find fascinating, being a 12-year-old. He's only got 10 stone 1. James Moffat trains him. He knows how to train these big staying handicappers. And I think he's got to be ready. Being 12, about to hit 13, he's got to be red raw, ready to run a huge race, the race of his life. Off a marker 135. 14-1 each way, 7 places with William Hill. Highland Lodge is my selection for the Becher's Chase. I think he's got to give us a good run for our money. The 205 at Aintree is the Betway Many Clouds race. It's a Grade 2 over 3 mile 1 on soft ground. We've got 4 runners, and the horse to beat here is quite clearly Brian Ellison's Definitely Red. He won this race last year. He came back and won at Wetherby when Black Corten made that horrific mistake in the Charlie Hall. He got the job done that day. He gave Black Corten £3. He's a reliable 9-year-old chaser. Brian Ellison's in decent form, and I can't see what's going to beat him. One for Arthur, the Grand National hero, hasn't been seen in 609 days. Double Shuffle fell behind Definitely Red. He's not the most consistent of horses besides his second placing to Might Bite. I'd be disappointed if Definitely Red, quite simply, didn't prove different gravy to these, and at 4-6 I still make him a bet. I'd be interested to see the distance markets tomorrow. I could see him pulling away quite simply to win by 4 or 5 lengths plus. So Definitely Red pretty much looks a banker, and as I've already stated, Eduardo de Allen in the first for Colin Tizard. Highland Lodge at 14-1 each way with William Hill. 7 places I think are the bets on that card. I'm going to crack straight on over to the 240 here at Aintree, which is a juvenile listed race for fillies. Now, I talked about this horse earlier on in the week. She's called Giving Glances, trained by Alan King. She's got some really decent flat form. She's won 2 races on the flat, but she was second to Andrew Balding's Made Up, who went on to be rated 105. Only half a length separated those two that day. The way she won at Hereford, where she pulled 16 lengths clear of Queen Adadel, was really, really impressive. She never came out of second gear. She won in a hack canter, and I think Alan King's got himself a really good filly here. I've had a good bet on this at 13-8. I think Giving Glances is the bet on the card in the 240, the 2 mile 1 Betway Fillies Juvenile Hurdle. That's Aintree. We're going to move on to Sandown for the Tinglecreek.
Good Loved it.
Good day. A winning day.
Does £100.
How are you?
Best day of my life.
How many winners did you back today?
Fucking none.
None. Oh my God! Look at this. Right, we head over to Sandown for the 150 Grade 1 Novice Chase action. The Randox Health Henry VIII Novices Chase. Some good horses have won this in the past. The official going is soft. It could be heavy this time tomorrow. 13 fences, 6 runners, and we've got the joint Arkle favourite, Lahore, who heads the betting at 10-11. Diakali for Gary Moore at 6s. Dynamite Dollars for Paul Nichols at 7. Pink Shoe for Colin Tizard, Highway 101 for Bob Chris Gordon, and we've got the Rag Aruna for Henry de Bromhead. I think the ground's gone against him. But let's kick off with the cream of the crop here, Lahore, who obviously won the Grade 1 at Aintree last year. A very good novice hurdler, a big win for the team Katie Woolacott there, due to be ridden by Richard Johnson. He made an exemplary start over fences, winning at Cheltenham, beating Dynamite Dollars, who re-opposes today by 7 lengths. He jumped well, he tanked along, he's a gorgeous looking horse, and you couldn't help but be impressed. But I do want to point out to you a very, very important fact. The 2 times Lahore has raced right-handed on stiff tracks, he's been beat at 10-11 on and at 7-4. He got beat at Exeter and he got beat at Ascot. Sandown is a stiff right-handed track. You need to ask yourself one question. Is Lahore better going left-handed than right-handed? It's a question. I'm just asking it. Are you willing to take 10-11 on for a horse in a Grade 1 novice chase who's been beaten twice against horses I rate far inferior to Lahore? It's an interesting one. I do think Highway 101 is overrated on the price. I think there's a bit too high here. He's 14-1. Chris Gordon's a very shrewd trainer. You know, Highway 101 was second in a very competitive Sandown handicap over hurdles of 135. He's had 3 runs over fences. I know Dynamite Dollars beat him fairly easily at Market Raisin, but I don't think Highway 101 really ran his race that day. And I think the fact he handles the ground, you know, he's had 3 runs over fences so far. He races up with the pace. He could outrun his odds. Do I think Lahore's going to win? Well, the truth is, I'm not that sure. So for me, I'm going to be a watcher of the Henry VIII Novice Chase and see what happens. It will be interesting. I'll tell you one thing, if he does get beat, I think my anti-post docket for Kalashnikov could be even shorter at around 2 o'clock. It's an interesting race. Let me know down below. Are you backing Lahore? Are you laying Lahore? Or have you found something to beat him? Moving on to the big race of the day, the Tinglecreek, due to be run at 3 o'clock. 4 runners, 13 fences, over 2 miles. It's a race steeped in history. We've had some phenomenal winners down the years. 85 grand to the winner. And we've got the Fab 4. Altior, top price at the moment, 8-11. Under Sco, 4-1. Sco Royals at 6-1. And St Calvados is on the drift, out to 9-1. Let's go through these, starting with Under So. He really is one of the stable stars out of the Willie Mullins yard. Year on year, this horse turns up. He never gets injured. He's a true warrior of the game, and he's an incredible racehorse, winning 9 Grade 1s. I mean, you look at the likes of Forheen, Duvan, Annie Power. They all suffered injuries at times, but this lad, he keeps rocking up and he just keeps on doing it. You know, he won the Arkle, he was second to Sprinter Sacra in the champion chase, came back to win a Ryanair, came back to finish second in a Ryanair behind Balco de Floss, and he's just a top-class chaser all in all. Do I think he's as good as Altior? No, I don't. Not at all. I do not think they're in the same league. Last year, after his second at Cheltenham, he went over to Ferryhouse, winning the Devonish chase. Obviously, Dr. Phoenix fell that day 2 out when they were head-to-head. And on his final run, he went on to beat Duvan in the champion chase. But we all know Duvan didn't run his race that year. I interviewed Patrick Mullins before the race, and they expected Duvan to win. And he just didn't perform. You know, you see Under So in that race, a Toy Phil was 10 lengths back in third. And I'm sorry, but for me, Min disappointed in that race. Duvan disappointed in that race. Take nothing away from Under So. You can only beat what's put in front of you. But I just don't think he beat the real top-class performers that day. But I'll tell you one thing, he's a hell of a racehorse. He's earned £1.3 million in prize money. He is every owner's dream. Well done to the O'Connell group with him. Under So is an absolute legend. Sco Royal, trained by Alan King. He's only a 6-year-old. He seems to have been around for ages. He's a course and distance winner here at Sandown, which is always a good thing. Proves that he handles a right-handed track. And he's a genuinely very good novice chaser. Sorry, a second season novice chaser. He won the Henry VIII Novice Chase last year really impressively. He was held up off of the pace and came with a quickening run. He's got a good turn of foot, Sco Sco Royal, but on official ratings of 159, he's got a lot to find with ALTIOR, who's rated 175. Moving on to St. Calvados, he's a big strapping looking horse, one of the best horses I've seen, but you've got to ask yourself this one question: what exactly has St. Calvados beaten? He's beaten Remulac at Newbury, Tree of Liberty, Diego de Charmille, who's nowhere near top class, got destroyed in the Arkle last year when his jockey had a loose fit for going off way too fast. And then obviously at Nace, he beat Footpad, who apparently injured himself when he jumped the third. You know, he's beaten Tycoon Prince there 4.5 lengths. I'm sorry, but I don't rate the form there at all. I don't think he's beaten much with Footpad, clearly not running his race. And take nothing away from St. Calvados, he's only a 5-year-old, the sky's the limit. He's got £17 on official figures to find with ALTIOR. I don't think he's anywhere near that league, and I don't see him as a danger to the champion. If you're to look at this race as an official handicap, ALTIOR could be carrying 12 stone. He'd be giving £17 to St. Calvados. He'd be giving £16 to Sco Royal, and he'd be giving £7 to On the So it shows that ALTIOR has a lot in hand. Moving on to the champion, well, he's 14 from 14 over hurdles and fences, which really is a quite unbelievable record. You know, when it comes to ALTIOR, I still think he's one of these horses who are underrated. I think this season, if he does what I think he's going to do and go undefeated, I've taken that 4-1, by the way, for ALTIOR to remain undefeated for the year on the specials. I think then he's going to get his respect. I still don't think people respect him because he comes off the bridle at times, but I've never seen a horse run up the Cheltenham Hill the way he does. I mean, he's just an incredible horse. He's won a Supreme, he's won an Arkle, and he's won a Champion Chase. He's also a course and distance winner at Sandown. He's 3 from 3 there. He's won on soft ground, he's won on good to soft, he's won on good. Anything comes alike to ALTIOR. He's bred by High Chaparral, and he's quite possibly up there now with one of the greatest horses I've ever seen. If he does go undefeated this season, he's going to go down as one of the iconic chasers of all time. He's currently 8-11 on. I'd be surprised if he started any bigger than that. I think the pace of the race, quite clearly, St. Calvados and Underso are going to make the running. Sco Royal and ALTIOR are going to sit off the pace and just, you know, cruise into it 2 out. In my opinion, I think they're going to set the race up for ALTIOR, who's going to beat Sco Royal, and I'd be absolutely amazed if the champ was beaten tomorrow. 15 out of 15, just like the Gooners, going in and keeping that undefeated record. This is one of the greatest horses I've ever seen. I'll be at Sandown tomorrow, and I can't wait to cheer King ALTIOR into the winner's enclosure for Nico de Boinville and Nicky Henderson. He's a special horse. He comes off the bridle. If you're an in-play bettor, you might want to back him in running. But for me, ALTIOR is a bet, and he'll be going in some of my doubles and trebles that I mentioned earlier on with some of the boys over at Aintree. Let me know your feelings about the Tinglecreek. Do you think Undersco at the age of nearly 11 can beat the champ? I think you're mental, but I think a lot of things. I'm the Racing Blogger. Let me know down below. Heading over to the Irish field, there's racing at Cork and Punchestown. Some good racing over at Cork. The Hilly Way, previously won by Underso. Great field is your current fav there at 4-6. Sure to take a lot of beating. Willie Mullins has twirled his string around. Underso coming over for the Tingle. We've got obviously the Hilly Way, great field going over there. And Min will be running in the John Durkan. Over at Punchestown, like I just mentioned, Min is your current favourite there at 11-8. Shattered Love's 11-4. Balco de Floz is 4-1. The ground may have gone against him, but you'd be disappointed if Min couldn't beat the mare there on best form. And over at Huntingdon, I'll be making my first trip on Sunday, if I make the 11 train from King's Cross, to see Bags Groove run for Harry Fry. He's got a double penalty. He could be good enough to win that. And I'm going to go and watch a race named in honour of a champion racehorse called Edredon de Bleu. Edredon Bleu, sorry, I completely destroyed his name there. Edredon Bleu. Ridden by Tony McCoy, trained by one of the Queens of Racing in Henrietta Knight. The Peterborough, a Grade 2. And at the moment, Charabelle for Kim Bailey is your 2-1 favourite. A cracking second in the Grade 2 over at Ascot behind Pulatug. I hopefully haven't demolished his name as well. I'm quite good at demolishing names. But we've got good action on Sunday. Punchestown, Cork and Huntingdon. Some good action all over the country. I'm looking forward to it. Let me just recap through my selections and hopefully we can back a few winners this weekend and make a few quid and beat those filthy bookies. So the big Beechers Chase, Highway Lodge each way 14 to 1, William Hill 7 places each way. I don't think you can go wrong with a clear round. And if you're looking for a little cheeky double or treble, Eldorado Allen in the opener for Colin Tizard. In with Definitely Red in the Many Clouds and Giving Glances for Alan King. You've got a 6 to 4, an 8 to 11 and an 8 to 13 shot there. You're probably looking at about a 5 to 1 treble. And then moving on to Sandown. Well, you know, would you be willing to back Altior in a single at 8 to 11? Well, I personally definitely would. I do think he's going to beat Sco Royal. So I'll be having a look at the forecast there tomorrow. And Highway 101 to potentially beat Lahore at 12 to 1. Could be an each way play, the dead 6 runners. And then on Sunday, obviously, we've got Great Field. He's 4 to 6. I'll wait and adjust to see how the markets develop there. But I am definitely interested in Charabelle for Kim Bailey, whose horses are flying over at Huntingdon in the Peterborough. That's been today's wrap. Slightly rushed, but I'll be seeing all of you maniacs at Sandown Park for the Tinglecreek tomorrow to see the King return and make it 15 out of 15 in the Tinglecreek. All hail Altior! Thanks for tuning in. Retweets appreciated. Drop your comments down below. And next week, I'll put a bit more time into this video. Over and out from your boy, the blogger. What's that, Miss B? It's a wrap. It's a wrap.